it's Kevin again, and this is going to be my review for the Season 2 premiere of The Americans, Season 2, Episode 1, Comrades. And this episode was amazing. It was really fantastic. I really loved the episode. And it definitely is going to be a lot more intense this season. Just from this episode, you can definitely tell that. Because of actually what happens in this episode. Definitely, I did not expect what happened in this episode to happen. I mean, it was pretty big. Definitely. I mean, it's kind of a foreshadowing what's to come, but I thought it was a pretty big episode. So, let's just get to the episode now. I was really, really looking forward to the premiere of this show. All week long, I've been hyping up the premiere, especially with the Paige stuff. I was really looking forward to seeing what Paige was going to do, things like that. I was just really, really looking forward to the premiere, and it definitely did not disappoint. It was just a fantastic episode. So let's just get to it. So if you remember, at the end of last season, Elizabeth got shot, and she had to, basically, their mission was put on hold. They never completed their mission, and they did not complete it in this episode. They did not complete their mission. So, it was still kind of, that's still kind of a cliffhanger, so their mission still hasn't happened. So we go right from that, because we go into a cabin in the woods, and Elizabeth is, not like a horror movie cabin in the woods. Elizabeth is leaving, and after nearly hitting a herd of deer with her car, she makes it out of the woods. And then we see Philip. He's meeting with some Afghans discussing a weapons exchange in the kitchen of a restaurant. He kills the leader, his translator, and a random chef in the kitchen, and then walks out of the restaurant after he tells them, Allah can't help you. Now that was pretty big, because, I mean, he killed an innocent chef. The chef did not do anything, and he was just a random person, and he killed him. It's definitely pretty big to see that. But right from here, we do see Elizabeth arrive home with Philip and his kids rush in, and Paige and Henry are very happy to see them. And you can definitely see that there's a bit of a change in Paige. Even Elizabeth sees it, and we'll get a little bit more to that. Something happens later in the episode. But they head out to their son's birthday party. Stan arrives, and Philip secretly gives him his refund. So Philip surprises his son with a telescope for his birthday, and Henry seems kind of less than thrilled. He actually wanted a video game for his birthday. He wanted to go set up his telescope, but Philip says he has to wait until tomorrow because Abby is coming over to babysit, so he and Elizabeth can go on a date. So, Roy's having a threesome, but airport security busts in with guns and kicks the naked girls out of the room. They inform him that he isn't being careful with his security measures for the company. He works for Lockheed. He's not under arrest. They're just here to help him be more scrupulous and protect his privileged information. And then we get to a pretty big scene. This is where I was like, okay, what's going to happen with Paige? The whole episode I was thinking, what is going to happen with Paige? She is going to be very suspicious now. What is going to happen? We see her going through her Elizabeth's suitcase, like we saw in the promo. We see her going through the suitcase, and Henry jumps out at her, and she says she is just surprising Elizabeth and doing her laundry for her, which is not true at all, because if you guys remember, the whole reason that Paige is doing this is because they told her, do not go into the laundry room. She wants to know what's in the laundry room. Once she moves the dryer, it's gonna go, shit is gonna go down, which I'm really looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to actually moving the dryer. So I really didn't know what was going to happen here. I was really looking forward to her scenes, though. So Philip gets done with his airport security mission, and he and Elizabeth head home. And on the way home, he confesses he had a thing with some Afghans, and it went real bad. And then we see Paige again. She gets up in the middle of the night, and she thinks her parents didn't come home, checks their room, walks in on them having sex, slams the door, and runs back down the hallway. So pretty much her whole investigation thing is put on hold in this episode because she found them having sex. It did not work for her. She was just planning on probably inspecting their room and things like that. So the next morning, Philip, Elizabeth, and Paige actually have this conversation about respect and privacy, and they ask her why she would open a closed door, and she apologizes for walking in on them last night. You can clearly see, though, that she did really want to find out more about them, and she's getting very, very suspicious about them. You can clearly see that. So then we see that they all go to an amusement park. And Philip and Elizabeth, they leave the kids at the park to go to a hotel room. And I'm like, why would you do this? I mean, that's like the worst thing you could do, is just leave your kids at an amusement park all by themselves. They go to a hotel room, meet their counterparts, Emmett and Lean, and their kids after the drop. So these are basically, they're exactly like them. They're another couple that's pretending to be Americans, but they're actually Russian, it's that sort of thing. So they walk in and realize someone has murdered the entire family. So Philip opens their safe, takes out the piece of paper written in code, and, that was just huge when we saw that. And it wasn't just the entire family. That's kind of, it's not the entire family. There is one family member still alive. One of the children still is alive, but they've seen it all. It's going to be really bad for them. And it was pretty big. I thought they were actually going to become big characters in the show, but they ended up not being that at all. They ended up just getting killed right then and there, which was pretty big. I mean, this is definitely why this show is getting so intense, is because of this right here. So he opens their safe, he takes out a piece of paper written in code, and Elizabeth gets very worried because she's worried that this is going to happen to Paige and Henry. I mean, the good thing is that, the good thing about this is that, Stan saw a couple. This is probably a couple they thought they saw. So she rushes back to the amusement park to get Henry and Paige, afraid they are in danger. And they're not really sure what they're worried about, but we know what they're upset about. So they head back home. Philip deciphers the papers he found in the hotel room. He tells Elizabeth there is nothing out of the ordinary, just surveillance, but there is an address about 2 hours from Virginia, and he's going to go check it out. He leaves Elizabeth home with the kids, heads to the address to see if he can figure out who killed Emmett and Lean. And that's basically what it is. We do get to see a little bit of him with his life with Martha, and he's as Clark. You can kind of see he's getting tired of it, and it's going to be interesting to see more of that. I was still very surprised that they did get married when they did. So I really enjoyed this plot. There's a lot going on here. I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with Paige. And also now it's very dangerous for them because they know that their kids could be in danger. Their kids are going to play a much bigger role this season. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what else they're going to do with the kids this season. So definitely this was a really strong plot. Now let's get to the subplot. Of course, the subplot had to do with Stan. Stan had a very interesting arc last season. He was with Nina, and he had the sexual relationship with her, so we kind of followed him after that. So he's signing paperwork, and he's staring at the map and mugshots on the wall, and Frank reminds him that trails go cold. The secretary barges in, says a man is there to see him. He excuses himself from the office. He heads downstairs and finds Sanford, demanding his $500,000. $500 million, that is, and Stan reminds him that none of his leads panned out, so the agreement is null and void. Stan actually kicks him out and tells him not to come back, but Stanford insists that everything he said was the truth as he gets shoved in the elevator. So Stan borrows some pirated videotapes out of the evidence room and takes one to watch with Nina, and she doesn't really like the movie because she doesn't believe Meryl Streep's acting. Somehow she thinks that Stan is sending her mixed signals and he thinks she is a whore. That's definitely pretty big. So then we see her meet with Arcady and fills him in on Stan. He wants Nina to, and again, this is very well done, all in Russian, this scene. The whole scene was they were speaking in Russian. He wants Nina to tell Stan that she loves him, but she thinks it is better if she waits for him to say it first. Nina and Arcady meet with Oleg and tells him to find something legitimate that they can give to the Americans, but not something useful. That was definitely pretty big right there. It was definitely, that was definitely a pretty big thing, and I'm interested in seeing where that's going to go as well. I look kind of like this arc of her kind of forcing him into becoming a Russian spy. I'm wondering if he's actually going to become a Russian spy. I'm really not sure. But Frank tells Stan that they need to take a drive to the Colonel's house. They arrive, and the driveway is full of cops. Apparently Sanford went to the Colonel's house and screamed at him about owing him $500 million. Sanford threatened to kill the Colonel, so he shot him, and he killed him. And that was basically the way Stan's plot went. So that was basically the episode. Now, this was a very big episode, a very great premiere. Definitely one of the best episodes of this show. I think definitely was a very strong episode, very strong premiere. A lot of stuff I want to know about this episode, though, that I want you guys to comment on. One, the biggest thing is Paige going to move that dryer? When Paige moves that dryer, she is going to find out so much stuff. And my biggest question is, when she moves that dryer, and when she finds out, everything that her parents are doing, will she side with them because they're her parents, or is she going to go against them? That'd be interesting if she went against them. I'd like to see the way that would work out. I'm not really sure what's going to happen there, but I really like the plot of her kind of getting very suspicious, because as we grow older, we do grow suspicious, and I really like the way that's all going to play out. Also, now Philip and Elizabeth are very concerned about their kids. What's going to happen to them? Are Philip and Elizabeth going to be constantly abducted or something like that? What's going to happen to them? Because they're very worried about Paige and Henry now. So what's going to happen with that? What about Stan? Do you think now the Colonel was killed? So, I mean, not the Colonel was killed. It wasn't the Colonel that was killed. The Samford was killed. So it was definitely that was a pretty big thing. But do you think Nina will actually get the information that she needs about the Americans? Do you think that'll happen for her? Also, Philip and Martha, Philip is Clark and Martha. Do you think they are kind of losing their spark? We kind of saw it in this episode. And that's basically it for the episode. Let me know what you guys thought of the episode. Overall, I thought this was a perfect season premiere. I loved every minute of it, and there was nothing wrong. The episode I thought was just a really, really great premiere. That's it for my review. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for Pretty Little Liars. So, see you then. Bye.